going, everyone? It's your boy Bryant back at it again with another episode of the High Notes Podcast. I'm joined again with my co-host here,
McNasty.
No,
let's do that again. Let's do that again.
Was that? No, we're not cutting that. What the fuck was that? We are not cutting that. Keep rolling. I don't know why you did that. What the fuck was that? No way. No way. All right, McNasty, but we're back here at another episode of the High Notes Podcast. We have a very interesting episode, to say the least, McNasty. Now, we have a really interesting story. We have Rosa coming on, and she's going to tell us about her getting married at the age of 17. But here's the thing. Normally, when people get married at that age, it's because they normally have a child, right, McNasty?
Yeah, facts.
She does not have a child. She just got married at the age of 17. So this was a really interesting interview, and I hope that you guys enjoy it. Now, I'm going to say this in the interview. There's going to be a lot of cuts, and I will have to edit some of the audio out. So you might hear like pauses in the audio, but I only did that because I wanted to protect her identity. She wanted to come in on as anonymous, even though you will see her face in the video format of this episode. But I just want to make that clear of what's happening here. So let's just jump right into that interview. All right, you guys, now moving on to the next subject here. We have a special guest joining us today. We got Rosa. And now Rosa has a very interesting story that she wants to share with us about her love life that not a lot of people could say they can share with other people. Now, Rosa, do you want to introduce yourself to the crowd here, or do you want me to give them just a brief warm-up?
You can give them a brief warm-up, I guess.
Okay, now this is really interesting because you explained to me that you got married before you finished high school.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people can say that. McNasty, have you ever met somebody who was married before finishing high school? Without a child, mind you.
Nah, never.
Now, do you, Rosa, do you want to go ahead and just like explain like the entire situation from beginning, middle, and end? Because this is really interesting.
The whole thing is crazy, right?
Yes.
So I met my husband. It was really interesting, right? Like, you hear all these like crazy stories and you never think like, oh, that would happen to me. And like, even going through it, or even like right now, I'm like, wow, I look back at it. He had messaged me on Facebook, right? So I had no idea who he was. He messaged me on Facebook, just started like flirting, regular conversation. And then like the next, we just started talking on there. Literally the next day we were on the phone and it was an instant click, like we were into the same stuff, anime, we were like similar like family vibes and stuff like that. And within like 2 days of talking to him, he actually met me up, and I don't know, I just felt like an instant click,
So you met this random dude on Facebook, talked to him for 2 days, and you met with him.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
crazy.
just like I told you, like this story is just crazy. Like when Brian heard it, he was like, there's no way. He was like, what was wrong with you? Like, the whole thing is just crazy. And I'm telling you, like, I look back at it and I'm like, what was I thinking? Like,
okay, so you guys met on Facebook. Now, how did this progress from an online relationship into a physical relationship?
So like I said, after 2 days of talking to each other, we met up. Like, he met me up. Like, he went to my job. And it was random. Yeah.
Now that's something that's really scary for a lot of women. For a guy that you just met on Facebook to show up at your job.
At your job.
So ladies, take note. You might get married off of one of these weirdos on the internet. You never know. It could happen. It's a true love story. You never know.
Like, he like like I said, we felt instant click, both of us, because he, like, we, like, you know, we talked about it, like, after getting married, like, you know, how we felt and stuff. And he, like, really wanted to see me, and I was like, well, I'm working tonight, and, like, this is a stranger, right? And I was 17, right? So I was like, well, I'm working right now, but I don't know, like, maybe I can, like, after work or whatever. So anyway, we agreed that he was gonna come to my job at like 9:30 when I got out.
Mhm.
And I remember telling my
At night.
coworker-
At night.
Yeah.
Nighttime.
Questionable all around, but keep going, keep going.
I remember telling my coworkers, and I'm like, yeah, like I didn't tell them how long we were talking for, and they were like, oh, first blind date and stuff. I was at 17 or whatever, the first blind date, and I'm like, yeah, and anyways, he came, we sat down, we were having dinner, and I remember like my coworkers like checking up on me, giving me thumbs up, like everything's so good, right? I'm like,
Good.
yeah. And then
Good
like,
coworkers, good coworkers.
Right.
and then they had told me like we were gonna leave together, and they're like, are you sure you're gonna leave with him? I was like, yeah, he's cool. And they're like, are you sure you're gonna leave with some guy you just met? I'm like, yeah, he's cool. And I'm like, okay. So we like left together. He walked me home, but like when we were walking to my house or whatever, we took like 3 hours to get to my house. Mind you, my house was like 3 blocks away from my job. We like
Wait, you guys were just like walking in circles, just talking?
no, we stopped at a park and we just sat there for like
Okay.
2 hours just talking to each other.
Oh, okay.
But,
Because
like-
this starting to sound like a kidnap story for a little bit. They're like, my house is only blocked away.
But like I'm telling you, like we both clicked.
Mhm.
Like we both had a good time. We were both cracking up. We clicked instantly. And so the next day we are like, let's go to the movies. So we ended up going to the movies and stuff. And then I hadn't told my dad that I was like seeing anybody, because mind you, this is the second time I meet this guy, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, somehow my dad found out, and I had to walk back home or whatever. And my dad instantly didn't like him. I didn't know what was the deal. But this was the first guy my dad didn't like.
Okay. Now, how many people had you dated prior to meeting the one?
Seriously,
Uh-huh.
2.
Okay.
Like serious, you know, like other dates and here like that, but serious 2.
Okay, so 2 boyfriends before this that your dad didn't have an issue with, but now number 3 was like, no, it's not happening.
Yeah.
Mind you, he didn't know him. He
Okay.
hadn't met him. I haven't presented him nothing.
Mhm.
And so I was like, I was just like, okay. I think like looking back at it, like we had talked, maybe that had a reason why maybe I rushed into the relationship and stuff.
Mhm.
Anyways, so we went on that date and we keep talking, but it comes about that since my dad had found out that I was already seeing somebody, he had asked me, oh, what's his name, what's his parents' names, like, you know, like a normal Hispanic, like he's already
Yeah.
concerned.
Yeah.
And so then I told him his last name, and my dad starts freaking out. Oh no, you're not gonna keep talking to him, blah blah blah.
Now, what was up with his last name? What was up with his last name?
Me and my husband come from, like, our families
Mhm.
come from the same town back in Mexico, basically.
Okay.
So he knows his family, like he knows that family, and like
Okay. So they have
so-
bad family blood. Would be the best way to describe that.
yeah, like gang past, you know, when
Okay.
they were younger, and then like I don't know, like stuff like that. So my dad was like, no, and I was like, you don't even know the guy. How can you judge him like that? Like, no, I already know how his family is and whatever. So that happened, right? So like he forbid me from talking to him. So that was just kind of like No, your teenage girl's not gonna listen.
Bro, so you know
anyways-
what this story sounds like? Like Romeo and Juliet. Exactly like Romeo and Juliet. What the fuck? This shit is exactly the plot of Romeo and Juliet.
This really is. This really is. Yo. All right, so
Anyways.
your dad says no to this from the beginning. So how does it progress then? Are you tiptoeing around your family at this point?
Okay, so anyways, I took it as let me keep talking to him and see where things go. You know, we only been talking for like not even a week or a week. I don't know, around that time. Let's see where things go. Anyways, me and him keep talking, and the more I start to like him, right? And now now we're seeing each other every day. Like as soon as I got out of school, like I was going to my job, he would pick me up from my job. We were seeing each other every day behind my dad's back, right? And anyways,
Now, that's got to be stressful on a relationship to keep it secret from your parents.
well, at the time we were like dating, but not like in a relationship yet.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like we
Makes
were
sense.
seeing each other, but it wasn't like that. Anyways,
Now, did his family have anything like negative to say about you, or they were just indifferent?
they didn't know who I was. Like
Okay.
like I said, we weren't in a relationship. We were just dating.
Okay.
So that's literally what was happening. And we had agreed that we were just gonna see where things were going. Like I had told him what happened with my family, and I'm like, let's see where things go. And if it, we do get serious, like we'll talk to them about it again, and we'll say, hey, it's serious. So, anyways, he brings up the topic about moving in because
Now, how far along into the relationship is this when he brings up this topic?
we weren't even in a relationship. That's the thing. We were just dating. Like
Okay.
he brings it up because it was starting to be a little stressful at home, right?
Mhm.
And so then he brought it up this one time. We talked about it, and I said, oh, like I would never do that. Like I love my family. I would not want to leave in bad terms. And it just stayed in my mind. And the one time, a Saturday morning, me and my dad got into an argument because he started talking about my husband again, right? Like my future husband again, and he starts talking bad about him. So I got really mad, and I was like, you don't know him, like stop talking about him, like you don't know him, you don't even know how he's like. Oh, so you're still talking to him. Anyways, we ended up in a whole conversation, right? So I slipped out the fact that I said, well, if you keep going like this, I'm just gonna end up moving out with him or whatever. Like I'm gonna end up leaving this house. Ooh, I grabbed my stuff and left. Whatever. So it was just a really stressful argument with my dad, right?
Mhm.
Like we were just screaming at each other. It was like really stressful. I ended up leaving and I went straight to the.
Now, where did you leave to? Did you like go to a family member, or what happened there?
A best friend picked me up, and I was crying and whatever, and she was like, "What do you want to do?" And I'm like, "I want to be with him. Like I literally wanted to just be with him at the moment. I'm like, I want to be with him. I want to tell him what happened. And I just wanted to be with him." So she dropped me off at his house. This was the first time I'm going over his house.
And meeting the parents. Okay.
No, I didn't. No, I just went straight to his room. I just
Just straight upstairs. You didn't even talk to anybody. You just walked into his house, and that was it. Okay.
yeah. And anyways, we're here. I'm here crying to him and telling him like, this is really stressful. Like, I'm love my family.
Mhm.
There's no reason why I'm going through this for a guy I'm not even dating, right? So, anyways, we end up having a really strong conversation, and he's like, we're telling each other like we really want to be with each other, and like that we really like each other and we're serious about it, and blah blah blah. And he wants me to move out. He's like, I want you to be here. I want you to be here with me. Like, that's it. Like, you know. And my situation was, I'm not leaving my house without getting married because I don't want to leave in bad terms with my parents. You understand?
Mhm.
And another thing with me too was that I always growing up, like, you know, like I stayed a virgin because I always believe, oh, after, like I'm marriage or after marriage I'll lose it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I was like, you know, like we just kept talking about that. Anyways, he was like, well, then marry me. And I remember crying.
Now, he just asked you this question like flat out, like out of nowhere.
Yeah, like, yeah.
Now, time out, McNasty. Have you ever asked a woman to out of nowhere to just marry you? Has that ever even crossed your mind?
Nah, I think that's like the last resort. It's like, well, now we gotta get married.
Okay, so
Well,
he asked you to marry him. How do you react? How do you react?
I started crying.
Now, out of enjoyment or fear?
Out of, I don't know what, like, I started crying. I said, I can't do that to you. He's here only 19 and I'm 17. And the way I'm thinking, you know, it's like, I can't take your freedom away from you. You know what I mean? Like out of this whole craziness.
You were worried about his freedom in that situation?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was worried about him because
he's the one trying to lock you in. I think he made his choice on where his freedom wanted to be.
Yeah, but anyways, we agreed that that's what we wanted to do. And then I was like, well, is that how you're gonna ask me? He's like, all right. So he asked me, like, I guess he like got nailed, and even that without agreeing, right? He asked.
Wait,
me,
in that same moment, he just asked you again and got on his
I asked him to ask me again. I was the one. So, anyways, so we were happy or whatever, and I remember I brought it up. I'm like, so we went straight from dating to engage, like about the whole relationship. And anyway.
So how long was this? Was it like a week and a half before he popped the question, or 3 weeks?
3 weeks.
Yeah.
Not even a full month.
3 weeks. So the next day, anyways, I ended up going home or whatever.
Now you're coming back home. Now, did your parents know where you were at, or worried?
Okay, so I went to work like later that day, and then I came out of work, went home, slept, woke up, went to my other job, and then my dad had called me thinking that I didn't even go home that night. And I was like, no, I went home. He was like, well, I want you home right after work. So then so my future fiance, right? My fiance at the time is now picking me up, and we go straight to my house. And
wait, he picked you up from work to take you now back to your father's house. Now your father is already not on board. So how does this play out?
So I was nervous as fuck. Like, when I'm telling you, my heart was beating and I was nervous. I'm like, I'm gonna get my ass whooped. And so my fiance, right, is standing right next to me. And my dad tells us both to come in. My mom's with him, and they grab 2 chairs and they sit in front of us. And he sits my fiance and he sits me down, and they're sitting across from us. And anyways, he I don't remember exactly like
the conversation
too much, but I remember like briefly how my dad had said, listen, like, me and Lisbeth had an argument yesterday, and she brought up the fact that you want her to move in with her, or she's willing to move in with you. Now, I don't know what the fuck she's thinking, but she ain't gonna do that she's not leaving my house without getting married the right way. This is not how we do things, you know? And
so this sounds like a shotgun wedding, but normally with a shotgun wedding, it would be if the girl's pregnant. But you're not even pregnant. He's just like, we're gonna do this the correct way if she's gonna leave the house.
Basically, right?
Okay.
So then, tries to grab my hand like a couple, and then he lets go because, like, I don't know, my dad got mad or whatever. And then he goes, well, me and talked yesterday, and we agreed on getting married. If that's the way you guys want her to properly leave the house, you know what I mean? And my dad looks at him. He's like, "Well, oh, like," he said, "Are you sure that's what you want? Like, is that like, I don't want you to like
Rush into it.
stand her up, you know? Like,
You
I
don't
don't
want.
want her to."
You don't want to make sure. You want to make sure that it's not like a rush decision.
Yeah, and he said, I don't want her to stand up or anything like that, like, and then he also said, like, I don't know if you know, but it's a virgin, so like, if let's say, I don't want her to like get fantasized that, oh, she's here gonna get married, loses her virginity, and then you leave her.
Mhm.
So I don't want you to do any of that. He also said to him, like, he asked him like where he works and stuff like that. Like, are you sure you're gonna be able to maintain another person?
Very good
What else
question
did he
to
ask?
ask a
He just kind of
very
like,
young couple.
yeah, like he was asking like adult questions basically. He was like, can you maintain her and stuff like that. He also did say to him, like, he was like, listen, I'm gonna be very honest with you. Elizabeth is very lazy. I do not want you.
They try reverse psychology. And you're like, you sure?
You sure you want to do this, man?
I have a question. Was your husband shitting bricks when he said that? Because I felt like he tried to hold your hand so you could comfort him too, so he don't be as scared. And then he wasn't with it, so he like, no.
I don't know. Like, he said he was scared like the whole conversation, but I never asked him that particular question.
Mhm.
But I did say like he did say like, I do not want you to come back, and basically say I didn't warn you. Like, that's what he said. Like, that's what my father said. I'm here looking at my dad like, embarrassing me already. Like, goddamn. But he basically did, like, he was straight up with him. Like, I do not want you to come back and be like, you never told me she can't do this or she's, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I'm telling you straight up how she is.
Mhm.
So either you're gonna think about it or forget it, or you're gonna go with it. But I do not want you to come back with her, be like, I can't take her, or whatever the situation is. So anyways, we're good. We keep dating. We dated.
Now, after you guys are now engaged, like how long do you guys keep dating for here?
September, right, of that year until November.
Okay.
We got married in November, so 2 months later.
Now in this whole transitional phase, were you like living at home and still engaged, or you guys were like out in an apartment? What was that?
No, I was still at my house. He was still at his house.
Mm.
Yeah, so it was still just kind of like that. Let's see. His parents came to ask for my hand. So they
Now, did they ask you or did they ask your parents?
they asked my parents, but that's, I guess, how they
Now-
say in Spanish.
Now they still had like, they didn't have like a good family ties. How did that interaction go? Was there any
It
tension?
wasn't that they, it wasn't the fact that they didn't have good family ties. It's literally the fact that my dad didn't like certain things his family has done, like, you know, like that he knows, like, oh, like some of them were in gangs, some of them,
Okay.
you know, like stuff like that. It wasn't like they had bad ties. His grandma is actually related to my father.
Okay.
So they came and they did bring that up. They said if that was, you know, something that we knew and stuff like that. So we talked about that. Basically it would make us like 4th or 5th generation cousins or something like that.
Now I do
So-
believe that legally it's only like up to like a second cousin that you have to like worry about. So you were out of the legal, any type of legal issues when it comes to that.
Well, yeah, but anyways, they did bring it up just for us to like know. They were like, we want you guys to know.
Yes.
But we felt
Mhm.
the time like I never knew this guy, right? We never knew each other like at all. So like at the time we were like, yeah, like it's not gonna be a big problem. So yeah, we were engaged for like 2 months. We went to get my dress together. I remember we got like scolded for that because it's bad luck for the groom to see the bride in that dress.
Mhm.
So we got scolded for that.
Now, who scolded you? Was that like your parents?
Both
Both.
Both.
Ooh.
my family.
Okay.
That's to them is bad luck. I'm like, okay. To us, it was just like we're getting a dress. I think that my dad did bring up is that he did not want us to get married in church.
Why is that? Why is that? Is that like a
To
religious thing?
To him, he did say, hey, like, listen, like, he talked us down and he was like, hey, listen, like, don't take this personally. But since you guys are still young and stupid, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
You guys want to get married, I understand, but I think if you guys want to get married through the church, I think that he sees it as a very serious thing.
Oh, okay.
Like,
So yeah, it's one of those It's one of the, because I know Mexicans are like well, most Hispanics are really like Catholic, and I know that one of the sacraments is marriage. That's like the last sacrament. Yeah, the last sacrament, I think that it is. So yeah, it's really serious to get married through the church.
Yeah, so that's how he saw it, and he is Catholic, so it makes sense. And he's like, listen, like, why don't you guys like get married through the law or whatever? And if, let's say, he didn't say, he said like, let's say 5 years from now or whatever the time may be, and you guys feel like this is working out, you guys feel like this is what I want for the rest of my life, he's the one, she's the one, then let's see you guys get married then. But until then, like, I feel like, you know. Another thing that we did bring up was my dad brought up for me to go on birth control. Okay. So at the time I was very serious about school and stuff, so my father had said she needs to go on birth control to prevent her to getting pregnant and having a harder time to go to school being already married. So we talked about that, and so we had agreed, like, yeah, let's do that, you know, like, at the time. So that's what happened. So when we got married, shortly right after, I went on birth control and I got pregnant. It was very interesting because most of my high school friends were like, what the fuck?
How did your friends react? Because you is still in high school, about to get married. This would blow like everyone's mind if you explained this to like any other person.
Yeah. My best friend was like, really? Like, she was like in shock when I told her. I'm like, yeah, like, this is what I want. She was like, well, I support you if this is what you want, but really? Like, she was like, really? Like, are you sure? Like, are you on drugs? She was like, what's up with you? And I'm like, yeah, like, I really like him and I really want to do this. I didn't know at the time, now talking to my friends years later, I guess that it was a talk in this whole school. Like, nobody ever brought it up. Like, I guess it was a whole fucking talk. Like, oh, she really went and got married. Like,
do you feel
most
like
people
do you feel like everybody was talking behind your back and like making rumors up?
Not rumors. People didn't really, like, when they started the rumors that she's gonna go get married, people didn't really believe it or whatever. But when I got married, they were like, oh, she really went out and got married, like, kind of situation. So I don't know. Looking back,
do you fear that the people in your high school were like judging you or anything like that, or even the teachers? The teachers would probably, if I was a teacher and you told me that one of my students was getting married, I'd be like, what?
It was weird because the one teacher, okay, so like I started, like, when I got married, I started to miss school like frequently, like when I moved in with him. But but I still like senior year, right? I had already taken all my like advanced classes. I had to worry about like 2 or 3 classes. And I remember like in every class basically I had like an A, right? So I remember in this like applied math class that I had a 98. And every time I would like, let's say miss an exam, I would make it up the next day or whatever. Well, a teacher was making it a big deal that I was missing schools like a lot or whatever, and he wanted to bring it up the like principal or whatever. Which
now,
I like.
Now here's another question. Now you are now technically a married adult. Do they call your parents in?
Yeah, who they call?
Who are they calling?
They never had that situation because I literally told him, why are you going to bring me up to the principal? I have a 98 in this class. If I miss school and I'm failing all my classes, I can see why it would be a big deal. But I literally have a 98 in this class and you're going to make it a big deal. You know, like what I mean?
Yeah.
So like we talked about it and I was like, why are you going to make it a big deal? So he never made it a big deal, but that was the only issue I was having like in school. I was missing school a lot, but I still kept up with my grades. So
now
I don't know.
Now, how did your coworkers? Cause were you still working during this time or no?
Yeah. So
how did they react?
They were shocked. But the only thing they were mostly concerned is me leaving there because they didn't want me to leave work because I had been working with them for like 3 years already. So, but since I didn't drive, he didn't drive, I was gonna end up like leaving. I was like no, like I have to leave. Like, there's no way for me to get here, whatever. So they literally tried their best for me to stay there because they wanted me to stay there. That was their concern.
Now, post marriage, this is now after you've gotten married. You guys have you moved in together? Have you moved into a place together at this point or no?
So we got married November 30th. And I didn't move in until December the, I don't know, like 5 days later or after, whatever. But when I moved in,
now are you guys living alone or did you move in with anybody else? How did that work? Because you guys are really young at this point.
Yeah, I moved in with his family. Okay. But the plan was, we were gonna move in for a few months and then we were gonna move out. That was the plan. That's what he had told me. Like give me like 2-3 months and then we'll move out.
Okay.
So I was looking at apartments and stuff like that here, thinking like we're actually gonna move out and stuff. It didn't end up happening like that. But at the time, it was really weird because when we got married, the only ones that were there, like it wasn't like my whole family was there and it wasn't like his whole family was there. His mom and his youngest sister were the only ones that showed up from his side, like his close family. And my parents were there. My sister was in school. And my younger sister was there and my younger brother, I think, was there. So, like, they were there. But I found out, like, years later that his brother didn't actually even want to get to know me at all. Like, even after the fact that, like, I had moved in.
Now, is this still related to, like, the bad family ties, or is this something completely different?
His brother thought he was crazy. Like, okay, so his brother's older, right? So I feel like being an older, because I am the oldest, right? I understand the point of view. You always want to protect the little one or whatever. So his brother was like, "You're being stupid. What the fuck you doing? You barely know her."
Me and McNasty here are both older brothers as well. We're the oldest brothers. McNasty, how would you feel if your brother, if Bill, came to you and was like, "Yeah, I'm getting married," right before leaving high school? How are you reacting to that, bro?
Yeah, I'd be like, "Yo, you're fucking dumb."
Yeah.
I got 3 younger brothers. I would be the exact same way. So I completely understand the older brother's point of view here.
Well, my husband was already out of high school, but the same, like, vibe. Like, the brother was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" I guess they had gone into an argument about it, but I didn't know until after, like, a few months later. But it was, like, I can tell because even when I moved in, like, he was giving me, like, weird vibes. Like, it's not like I wanted to talk to him or whatever, but, like, it was complete ignoring me, and I was kind of like, I just moved in, I haven't done shit, like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
His sister, like, she'll even bring it up, I think she'll, like, bring it up randomly and stuff like that. She was just, like, amazed and like, whoa, what the fuck? Because literally, like, so like I said, that they didn't even know we were dating. So when he brought me home, it was already like he's getting married to a chick we had no idea he was dating. To like if he just presented me like, hey, this is my future wife, and the sister was like, what the fuck, like.
Okay.
So she'll bring it up, and she'll be like, how'd she say it? She's like, I didn't even know he was dating anybody, and then I don't know where I'm getting married. And so she'll bring it up and stuff, and yeah, so.
Okay, so far in the family, you have a good reaction and a bad reaction from the siblings. How are the parents integrating with you moving into the household?
I feel like the parents understood a little more because the parents got together really young too.
Okay.
Like at this point they had told like, hey, like you're bringing in someone, which, you're getting married, okay, like his mom was happy that he was getting married, like it's, he's doing it the proper way, like she was actually happy and whatever. The dad had like really like, oh, you're bringing in someone, like, kind of thing. So his dad was kind of like, oh, well, we're gonna charge you rent or whatever. And now, at the time his brother was,
how much rent were they trying to charge?
For the small room we originally moved in, it was $250, and then we went for a bigger room and we paid $300.
Okay.
Which is not
so
bad.
You both were working, so right, you were able to split it.
I left work, so.
Oh yeah, you were done working.
Yeah,
now another question I have for you.
Mm-hmm.
You said in the wedding it was only the mom and the sister. Where was the dude's dad? He didn't show up either.
Yeah. I don't think he showed up.
So do you think his dad was not in approval of the situation either?
I'm not. I feel like he might have felt like the brother.
Okay. Now, do you think that the relationship has remained the same, or like between you and the parents, or has it at least progressed to a better situation now?
So, like I said, I moved in, right? And like I told you, the brother didn't want to start talking to me, but little by little, like let's just say at this point, like I'm able to sit down and like I feel like I'm actually part of the family now. We've been together almost 5 years, right?
They started accepting you at this point.
Yeah, I guess after a whole year being together, that's when they started to be like, okay, like they started to accept me a little more. But I think that it took a little time, yeah, because the situation was weird. The whole situation was weird.
Yeah.
Even with like my family, like I think it took a whole year for them to be like, oh my son. Now I see that my dad kind of sees my husband as like a younger son, like his own son, kind of situation. And like my mom adores my husband. She's we get along better, like at first it was awkward, And I feel like with every situation like that, even when you bring in a girlfriend or whatever, at first it's awkward, and then like you start to get along. It's not gonna be like overnight. It just takes time. His brother actually was really skeptical about me or whatever. But once he found out I was like, me and Edwin kind of like the same things, and we're into anime. He's also into like anime and stuff like that. He was like, "Oh, she's really cool." Like at first, but then now he's like, "Oh, she's really cool," and then that's it.
You grew on them. Now,
Yeah.
Now, at this point, you guys are now married. You're living together. Now, do you continue? Are you still continuing to live with your parents, or did you move out? What's the progression there?
We moved out 2 years ago, so we ended up living with them for roughly 2.5 years, I think. Yeah, so then we ended up moving here, and when we moved out, actually they were like really upset. They at the time I had gotten a cat, and they were missing him and stuff. And it was a little weird, but like with his family, we're really close, so we would keep going over like Saturday nights and stuff like that. And so we stayed close, even though like we moved out in that situation.
Now, you are now at this point. How old would you be when you move out and move in together into your own place?
29. It was 2019, so I was 20.
Okay, so you're
20. Yeah.
You're 20 years old. You just moved into your own place, technically freshly married. Now, how do you go from being a high schooler to being an adult pretty much overnight? How does that go?
So when I first moved in here, right? Now my relationship has, like, we always agreed that even though I'm a female, I still believe in the half and half situation, I guess, the new modern
the modern American Americanized female point of view of how a relationship should go. Yes.
Yeah, correctly. So when we moved in, I think that we did bring up, okay, how are we gonna do this? How are we gonna do? So I think that we agreed on was house on him, the 3 bills on me, groceries 1 week him, 1 week me. I think that we did struggle at the beginning was cleaning the house, like, okay, what's gonna fall on who?
This is a big one because there's no more mom and dad. It's only you. So somebody has to keep up with the house.
Yeah, and then back at his house, since I wasn't paying rent or whatever, I would do that without problem. But now the situation coming here is like we're both working full time. So what's the split on the chores? That's where we had a little bit of arguments or whatever. But it took a year and you get it down.
Now, you probably have a lot of like, I would say like you've never moved in with anybody, so it's really hard to like get accustomed to living with a brand new person. Were there any type of arguments that came up immediately, like after you moved in, like anything like that?
Okay, so the first one I think I know, like right away, of course, was sleeping together. You never really, I never really slept with anybody, right? So when I moved in, he had a queen bed. And I couldn't, like, it took me like a whole week to fucking sleep because I couldn't sleep with him.
So when you were in the other house, were you guys in separate rooms?
No, like when I moved in the first time. So
gotcha.
So that was like the first thing I noticed. Like I couldn't, like we were in a queen bed, and I move around a lot, and he moves around a lot. He snores, and I wasn't used to that, right? So a thing that we did within a few months that I remember that I said that I moved in from a smaller room to a bigger room is because we had bought a California bed, a California king bed.
Okay.
And that's one of the things we did to fix that. But like I'm telling you, I couldn't sleep for a whole week. So that was one of the things. I don't know what else, I guess. Oh, another thing was while still at his parents', right? Now, mind you, he was only 19, so yeah, he's gonna have friends. Yeah, he probably was used to going out every Saturday or whatever. And I'm young. Was simply like, let's say, he wanted to go out every Saturday night. And sometimes it was with me, sometimes it wasn't with me. And how his parents' relationship is, I have always told him you can't compare anybody else's relationship besides ours because that's what we're focused on, right? And in my shoes, I do not find it healthy to be doing that. I understand he was 19 and stuff like that, but he is now committed, right, married, and his life is not the same as the single 19-year-old. And we just, that's a boy problems, right? So I think that he had a little hard time with was leaving that life kind of situation. And I felt bad, but at the same time, it was like, we're married, and if you didn't want this, then you shouldn't have, wanted that. But no, he committed.
Those are the type of compromises that you have to make in relationships.
Yeah. So
would you say that you guys, are you not as social as you used to be, like before getting married? Like, did that? Would you say that that's what changed in that?
Yeah, it changed, but the reason why it, from my point of view, it had to change was, right, like 19-year-old guys, right? You, even at whatever age, guys are crazy, and I feel like what I had told him, like, your friends are gonna want to go out clubbing and stuff like that, which I understand,
Yeah, especially since you guys got married before he turned 21. So after he turned 21, he wouldn't want to go out and go out to the bars and clubs. Yeah, so it's understandable.
Yeah. So I understood, and I let him. Like, it's not like I didn't let him. It was just like, for me, it was like, you can't be doing this every weekend. Married, like, that was my thing. And I felt like bumped out too because I'm younger than him, so it was like he turned 21 like 6 months. 6 months? Yeah, 6 months prior to me. And I was like, yeah, go ahead, go. But like, even being home and waiting for him to get home, I would get worried and I would stress out and I would be like, yo, I can't do this. And then he came home the one time drunk and I spazzed, and I probably shouldn't have spazzed out, right? Like, he's a 21-year-old, got home drunk from the club, but I just spazzed. And things like that were things that it's just kind of like, it's hard getting married so young because I expect him to have his own freedom and I expect myself to have my own freedom. But then there's certain things that's just like, like,
you're joined at the hips. You have no choice.
Yeah. So, that was interesting.
Now, at this point, you guys are now moved in together. Do you ever get to a point where, because I saw a TikTok recently where this girl was talking about like how she got married at a young age but had recently gotten divorced, and she was talking about how she had grown apart from her partner like as she got older. Do you ever feel like you ever have like that type of situation, or do you feel like it's always like a learning situation where you have to relearn this person and maybe that brings you closer together?
So they say that, I don't know if females or males, but we change over time, which I do agree on. the person I married almost 5 years ago is not the same person I'm with,
Mhm.
right? Um, I feel like we both have been through this whole learning and how can you say it?
Learning experience.
Learning and compromise.
Okay.
Like learning and compromising situation because a thing that like really happened in the beginning too was like I was that kind of person that if I had a problem and I was arguing with you, I would just walk away. With him, I had to learn that I couldn't do that with him. Like there was just I couldn't do that.
Yeah,
Like
because you have to go back to the same household at the end of the day.
like I had to be an adult, and I just couldn't even walk out. And like so I feel like our whole relationship has been like that.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, people do change. I feel like since we're not as social as we used to be, I don't feel like we're growing apart because we're together most of the time. If he were to go out with his friends like every weekend, maybe I can see like us growing apart, but like we spend most of the time together. We know what's going on in our lives, so I don't feel like we're growing apart, but I mean it could happen in the future. I don't know, like right now, baby talk is on the way. So I don't know, it could happen like after we have the baby, because that's another thing I'm afraid of and I have talked to him about. After you have a baby,
How long have you guys been in a relationship together now?
Almost 5 years in September.
Okay, so almost 5 years. So
yeah.
Most couples have a child really early on in the relationship after they get married, because they normally do the opposite, where they've already known each other for a really long time, then get married and then have the kid. Now,
yeah.
So you guys are taking your time in order before having a kid, because that's a big decision to bring a new life into the world. So I completely understand why you would hold off on that. Now, if you were to have a child, do you think that would completely change the relationship again? How do you think that dynamic would work?
I know for a fact it's gonna change both him and I and the relationship. I don't know personally how every guy reacts to stuff, but I feel like how I see it happening now, I don't know if it's gonna happen, is that he's gonna grow more mature and is now gonna put that baby first. Not saying he's immature now, but he still puts things first that maybe like I don't see them as mature. But that's the way I think he's gonna change. I don't really know. I could be wrong, completely wrong. But I just feel like how I know him and how protective he is and how caring he is, I feel like that's how I see him changing.
He will grow into the role of being a father.
Yeah, that's how I see it, right? Now, with me, I'm a very impatient person and I'm a very reckless person. Like when in a certain situation, I can be very reckless. So I feel like when I have a child, right, I'm gonna expect him to kind of like, this is something we have to talk about still, right? But like, I'm gonna expect him to know, like, hey, I'm probably not gonna be in my regular mindset dealing with a baby, and we might argue a lot, and that's something I've been afraid of, and I don't know if we're ready for it. That's why the whole baby talk is on the way, because it's a very serious commitment, and I feel like a lot of arguments are gonna happen, not because of the baby, but just being under that much stress or whatever new parents, stress and stuff like that. So I feel like that's gonna happen. Like our relationship is gonna change after that. Do I know how long it's gonna take for us to go back to normal, or is our relationship gonna change completely? I don't know. Like that's the whole thing that I'm not sure how's it gonna be,
Now you guys do have you said you had a cat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now your cat, normally for most couples when they have like a pet animal together, they normally will, how they treat the animal will normally reflect how they treat the relationship with a child. Do you think that is he a good parent to the cat? Would you say that he's a good parent to the cat?
So this is something we always argue. Like not always argue, but we always bring it up to each other.
Mhm.
The cat loves my husband, right? Like, but I'm the cat's like legal owner.
Okay.
Like if that makes honest sense. Like we
Okay.
have talked. If we ever were to split up, that cat is what we're gonna argue about. Nothing else besides that cat. Which might seem silly, but that's literally how it goes. I buy that cat his food. I took him to the vet. I paid for the vets, pay for everything, right? But the cat loves.
Mhm.
I mean, the husband loves the cat.
Mhm.
So I feel like, in a sense, I feel like betrayed by the cat because the cat loves my husband, and I'm the one that always provides. So I don't know. That's the whole cat situation. I don't know.
Now, this is a perfect example because a lot of kids are the same way, where it's like the mom might be the one that's doing all of the hard work, but they'll love the dad more because the dad is fun.
Well, I mean, maybe like that. It might be like that. Yeah. And low key, I do get jealous of that shit. Like, it hits you, and like,
Mhm.
yeah. So we'll see how things turn out. We're still holding on though because right now like it's a topic that everyone's actually talking about. A baby's so expensive, and we'll see. Right now we're just waiting. We're thinking about September maybe, but we're just going with the flow right now. That's the plan. Going with the flow.
Take it as it goes.
Yeah, I think it's a goal. So we'll see. And then another thing is that we're still young. Like even though we've been together almost 5 years, right? I'm only 22 and he's only 23. He's gonna turn 24. So we're still young.
Mhm. Now,
But a lot of people. Mhm.
now, is there any advice that you would give to anyone else that were to be found in your situation, where they're trying to get married at a young age? Is there any advice that you would give to them?
My best friend, I always tell her,
Mhm.
because she's been in like growing up and down love situations, right?
Mhm.
I tell her to literally like how I see it, like even though I'm married, it's like literally like enjoy life and love yourself and learn about yourself as much as you can before you commit to somebody. You know, being already married, right? There's a lot of stuff that maybe I didn't even find out about myself until after or whatever. Like or maybe like you have to be put in certain situations to learn that.
Mhm.
And maybe I never even learned that about myself, you know what I mean?
You're still learning about yourself because you're still really young. So
Yes.
you still don't know a lot of things about yourself that you probably haven't explored like how other people have.
Yeah.
Now, are there any type of like experiences that you regret, like that you weren't able to have?
I don't know, like I you see like the whole like things like there's ups and downs, right?
Mhm.
Like going to the club and having fun and whatever was like it's cool and all right, but what I feel like is special with me or what I love, right, is even if I come home drunk, I have somebody to literally be here for me.
Mhm.
Like if that makes sense, you know, like when I turned 21, right, when I got hammered or whatever, he literally stood up all night just to make sure I wouldn't choke out in the middle of my sleep.
Yeah.
Like that.
Now that is a great situation to have somebody to make sure that you don't choke in your own sleep from from how much you drank. Big Nasty, have you ever had that situation where you had somebody to make sure that you don't puke in your sleep?
The choke on my nah, never.
That's gotta be a loving situation. They love you no matter what.
Was here like when I had to get up and like like puke and whatever. He was here like he was bitching at me at the same time. I told you shouldn't got that fucking bitch. As he's holding my hair, right? But I'm just happy, I have those moments I can cherish. Yeah, I kind of was like, oh, like, yeah, I wish I can be a crazy 21-year-old or 22-year-old. Haven't found out there, but I love the situation I'm in. It feels good to grow together, and it feels good to start building things together, even if it's the smallest things and the smallest compliments. It just feels good. Like it honestly does, because we can look back and be like, yo, we really put the work into. Even if it's to buy a TV, we put the work to buy a TV that's ours. I like that. That's just me, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, do you feel like because most women of this generation here in the U.S. do not consider the getting married like at a young age like a good idea at all? Do you ever feel like other women like judge you based on the fact that you got married so young? Do you think that that's an issue that you come across?
And a big issue I come across is they all think I got married because I was having a baby.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll be like, oh, so how old is the baby?
Yeah.
Or, like, they'll think like I literally got married because I was pregnant. And I'll be like, no, I just got married. And they'll look at me like, what? Like, yeah, I was 17 when I got married. So that's a big judgment. Like, they'll think that I literally got married because I was pregnant or whatever. That's their judgment.
Now, do you feel like they are missing out on getting married at a young age, or do you think that they might have it better? How do you feel? Is the grass greener on the other side?
I feel like that's individually different for everybody. I mean, I don't know. My mom always told me not to get married young, and now I see, okay, why she meant that. You, like I said, like you do miss out on certain things, and you might not learn as much about yourself, being young and single as being young and married. But, I mean, I feel like that's an individual question, you know what I mean?
Gotcha. Now, another question here. Do you ever feel like there is any type of situations where you need advice on relationships? Do you feel like you have somebody that you can go to help you in that situation? Like, how does that work?
So yes, most of the time I either go to my parents and I'd be like, oh, well, this is going on. I don't know how to handle it. Or we'll just take some time and we'll figure it out. But like I said, I usually go to my parents. That's just like who I feel close to. And they'll tell me their advice. I'll take it. I might Google some things, like literally I'll Google some things, like the whole baby thing. Like I said, like I do feel, and honestly, like the relationship's gonna change, and that can be from what I heard, parents, Google, like literally, like that's how I take things, and I try to be prepared as much as I can. But there's some things you're not gonna be able to prepare yourself, like whatever situation. So you just gotta take things slow. And I try, because I'm that kind of person that like I act quick. So that's what I'm trying to like learn right now.
Gotcha. Now, I got a question here for McNasty here. Now, I'm single, but McNasty's in a relationship. McNasty, what questions would you have for a person who is married at a younger age than you? What questions would you have for them?
Well, I would ask you why, but you kind of just told us why. how annoying are they after you move in together? Like, how annoying are they?
Like the
'Cause,
female.
like, yeah, because with me, like, I'll be looking at something dumb. And I'm like, why are you doing that? And I don't know. And I just be like, why are you doing that? And I just get
we
annoyed by it.
Yeah, it gets you get annoying with each other. With the husband, there were certain things that would be like, think why like like what? But there's certain things that like piss him off so quickly. Like he doesn't have two left feet. Like we can leave walk into the store and like I'm looking at something and I'm walking and it will piss him off. And and there's the fact that I do it so much or whatever that like pisses him off and or annoys him, and it's like, what the, and you know, and we'll curse each other out. Like that's gonna happen. You're gonna curse each other out for annoying shit, and that's just like, it's bound to happen. It's gonna happen. At first, when you first move in, I don't know how your girlfriend might be like if you don't pick up, if you like get home and you get undressed and you leave everything all over the floor and she's here picking up after you, that might be annoying to her, you know, like, what the fuck, I'm here cleaning you, you get home and you just don't take care of shit.
I mean, she could just leave it there. It's gonna get like, I don't expect her to pick it up. She could just leave it there.
That's not how things are gonna work.
It's perfect sense because I throw it somewhere, I know where it is. The next morning when I go and, you know, I know where it is, so I just pick it up.
You see, things like that, you're gonna like, yeah, you're gonna have conversations about that, and she might find that really annoying. You might be like, that's how I am, right? I'm the same way you are. I used to do that shit all the time. The husband's the one that gets pissed at me, right? I have learned, okay.
Wait. So you're
put it in the bin. Put it in the fucking bin. Like,
time out.
But what if you're not done wearing it? Why are you gonna put it in the bin? Just leave it on the couch.
then
I'm gonna wear it again.
Put it back in the door. Like, you slowly learn. Like I'm telling you.
Time out. So your dad's warning to the husband of you being lazy was actually a fair warning. It was a fair warning, is what it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like, I wish I can be like, yeah, like, I'm that kind of wife that, like, I see a dish and I'll go wash it, like, or, like, I can't stand a dirty house. Like, I wish I can fucking say that. Like, I wish I can say that. But it just, I'd rather be out. Like, I can leave 3 dishes in the sink and it doesn't bother me. Like,
honestly, 3 dishes is not a lot, bro. It's only when it starts overflowing or it smells. That's when you gotta do it.
No way, McNasty.
3 dishes is not bad. Like it'll be like a spoon, a fork, and like a container. That's just staying in there, bro. So next 3 at least. More dishes.
Hey, yo. Nah, you got a point, McNasty. You got a point.
I wish. And like I said, I used to come home, enter the room, take everything off, throw it wherever, and the husband, like, we would get, okay, I'm sorry, I just want to go home, lay down after work. No, but I don't understand what's so hard about putting in the like, you literally get those kind of conversations. You go through stuff, but like I said, you learn from each other. You learn.
Now, do you get in arguments and you get like real petty, like, you know, something gets them mad, so you do it on purpose?
I learned that that's not the way to go in my relationship.
You've definitely done it a lot.
He's definitely done it.
In the beginning, yes. But I learned that, you know, like, since I'm married or whatever, and I want this to grow and not, like, end, if that's the way I want it, right? I have learned that's not the best thing for me in this relationship, right? But that's just how it is.
That's how it is.
Now, if I was just dating him and I didn't give a fuck, then yeah, I would probably right?
Have you ever got him so mad that you thought to yourself, damn, I gotta chill? Has that ever happened to you? Like, damn, I gotta relax.
Yeah. And it's like I said, and it's literally like we'll have arguments that are like the smallest little thing, and they can turn out to be something so huge at the end,
Yeah.
But you gotta talk it out, like a whole relationship thing. You have to talk it out, work it out, the whole whatever plan they say. Talk it out, work it out. Literally.
Yeah.
All
No,
right.
that's cool. It seems like, you both are like mature enough, so that's how it works out. Like, I don't think if like you were like if you were less mature, this marriage would have worked out. You would have been like, oh, 21, time to be a hoe or some shit like that. But if you're trying to make it out, work it out. I think that's what's making it work.
But like I said, at first we weren't like that. Like, well, I don't know how mature I am, because that's really, I think, what it might come to. I don't know how mature I am, but I definitely think the way I think is definitely different than he thinks. Another thing that has been like different with my mentality and his mentality is that I think long wise, like tomorrow wise, and his mentality has always been just today. So I feel like that has affected our relationship. Like you said, the whole petty shit. I learned that like, hey, like I still gotta be in the same bed tomorrow morning. I'm not going anywhere. So why am I gonna make a bigger deal? Why am I gonna keep it going? So I guess that affects too.
Do you feel like being married forced you to be mature? Like that just forced you to become more mature?
More mature? I feel like I've always been some type of mature. I don't know to what level a 17-year-old was mature. Mm-hmm. I did a lot of petty shit at home. But I feel like mentally wanting to grow as a person has always affected me. Like I always just want to keep growing, keep it going, better stuff in the future. That's how I think, right? So because of that, I feel like I have matured. I don't know if the whole relationship has made me mature though.
Now, a lot of people normally when they do the most growing is when they make mistakes or when they go through hardships in life. Do you feel like being in a relationship, do you think that has prevented you from experiencing a lot of the pains that a normal like teen would go through, going from that teen phase into that adulthood phase? Or do you think like you've probably experienced double of what a normal person would go through? Do you have like a perspective on that?
I don't know about double, but I feel like yeah, I've probably already experienced a little less than a normal 22-year-old, like heartbreaks and stuff like that. But I don't know, like I feel like the whole living with somebody and trusting your whole life with somebody, or trusting one person, literally one person with your whole life. There's mistakes that could happen and stuff like that. And whenever that person makes a mistake or you make a mistake, I feel like, I don't know if it hits you harder or whatever, but it definitely affects me hard. Like if there's ever a mistake happening or something that, what the fuck situation, it definitely hurts. It definitely hurts like a fucking bitch. Like it hurts,
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. Now, McNasty, are there any more questions that you would like to ask Rosa here?
I'm good on questions, Rosa. You answered everything that I would have had in mind.
Now, McNasty, another question for you here. Are you gonna get married at a young age as of right now after hearing the experience of this?
Nah, I don't think it's gonna change my opinion. That got nothing to do with me.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right. All right, but we want to thank you again for coming on to the show and just giving us your experience, because not a lot of people can really say that they got married at such a young age, and pretty much you've made it work. Somehow you've made it work. You managed to make it work, getting married at a young age like this. But again, we want to thank you for coming on to the show. If you want to come on at any time, let us know. You can come back whenever.
All right. I guess I do want to add one more thing.
Mm-hmm.
Usually some people might go through this similar situation. I feel like nowadays with kids, if that makes sense. Like when they get pregnant young or really early into the relationship, there's people that I have seen that they make it work and they push through a relationship together because of the baby. Like I said, it's a learning process. Like you gotta learn how to compromise and you have to learn stuff. And I've seen it happen because of the baby, and they're committed to the baby and the relationship. Most of the time it does work. When I see people that be like, oh, I just couldn't happen or whatever, I feel like how I see it is because one or both people didn't want to make it work. Like they didn't want to compromise and they didn't want to learn together. That's literally how I see it. But nowadays I see that a lot of people like compromise and they stick together and they'll learn how to deal with each other and they'll learn how to like literally love each other because of a baby. You know what I mean? Like that commitment to the baby.
Now that you mentioned that, I have a question then on that. Do you feel like if after that child grows up, do you feel like the thing that was joining them together was the child, but now the child is no longer there? Do you think that relationship would no longer be able to be sustainable?
That's a good question. I don't know. I feel like when you grow together and you experience so many things together. Someone told me that love becomes something else. Someone told me that love becomes a little more powerful. I don't know how I feel about it just because I haven't been through it. But like, this person had told me like, I cannot leave this person because I don't know, like the way they told me is that love becomes more powerful and it unites you more together. I don't know what he meant by that, but how he described it was basically saying like, you know, when you experience so much with one person and you have like literally gone through hell and back together and you maybe raised the kid or whatever, and you were now without the kid, there's other things that come along that still unite you, either if it's the grandkids or if it's... He just said that love becomes greater than what it is at one point. So I don't know what he meant by that. And I haven't experienced that, so I can't really say. Yeah. So I guess it's a partnership or whatever you would say.
Now that is a beautiful note to end this episode on, this interview on. But yeah, we want to thank you again, Rosa, for coming onto the show and sharing your experience with us. That was very enlightening.
You're welcome. And thank you.